Hello and welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
I'm Larry.
Hi, I'm Jesse.
Charlie.
And I'm Josh. And today we are going to be going over a poem from a Nobel Prize winning poet.
A Nobel Prize winning poet?
A Nobel Prize winning poet.
Can you say that 5 times fast?
Tomas Transtromer won the Nobel Prize in Literature back in 2011. He is from Sweden.
Swedish tradition. They're good.
And the poem that we're going over is When We Saw the Islands Again. And the discussion starter that I have for this one is...
Why Hoover vacuums suck?
That was yesterday.
Oh, that's
You
right.
did say it the
And
other day.
Well, all vacuums suck.
What kind of sadness...
That's true.
What kind of sadness do you feel the speaker of this poem is dealing with? Why do you believe it takes an island to pull them out of the sadness?
I think that it seems like a sort of, like you know how some people kind of rely, or when they talk about somebody else that makes them happy, they call them their rock. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how I interpreted it, is that, the person, who wrote the poem was like struggling with some sort of sadness, depression, something going on in their life that made it seem like the storm, and they were stuck in the water and they couldn't come out until they saw that someone or something that was their rock of happiness that helped pull them out of that, deep, dark ocean of misery.
And the island,
So,
I was going to say, the island is, in a way, let's say you're stuck at sea, right? You need some dry land. Eventually, you see an island. But then again, I always hear the phrase, oh, he's my rock, oh, she's my rock, Not that guy over there with the yellow shirt drinking Snapple holding a piece of paper. He's not a rock, he's a boulder.
I personally feel
But
that...
no, I like that.
I think that Transtromer I think that he does an excellent job with visual images. I think that he's, as the back of the book says, the Nobel Prize Committee said that through his condensed, translucent images, Transtromer gives us fresh access to reality. And I think that he did that with this because he was using actual physical images, but at the same time he was equipping it to an emotional response. And in this case, it is the speaker on a boat heading toward an island and is dealing with the sudden downpour, which to me is a gloomy occurrence that seems to bring somebody down in the way that depression may have the tendency to do. The sudden downpour may rely on general depression or a struggle.
Anything really.
Because it goes hand in hand with the idea that the island, when the island reached out a hand, personifying the island, that it pulled the speaker up from their sadness. But it was also interesting how he used parentheses in stanzas 11 to 13.
I have it here.
The fact that the rain starts disappearing, the smoke takes a few faltering steps in the air above the roofs, because it seems like as he's going into sea, you have the cottages, you have the stairs, it's a baby with eyes all at sea, which that particular term generally refers to a state of confusion, and that may be something that can be applied to everybody on the boat. But we don't know how many people are on the boat, what kind of boat it is.
No.
But it all depends on how you're perceiving it, because it can be perceived both as a visual and as intuitive.
I read this over and over and over again. It's like, I'm surprised the ink is still on the paper right now, and it's Now that you've said that, it makes now the two Legos finally mesh together.
What do you think, Larry?
I thought it was kind of confusing.
Hi.
Yeah.
I can see where you can't read it once and have a complete.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read
a
it
couple
twice.
times.
I was
I
so
read it
confused.
how many times now? I'm still reading.
I don't think twice is enough either.
Yeah, well, maybe not. I don't know. Not much. I don't think much of it.
I mean, it's only what, 3 stanzas here? 1, 2, 3, maybe what, 4 stanzas? But still, it's just so little can say so much. Really, then that's something I believe in. I don't act it all the time, but there are times where only a few words can say so much. You have more paper than I do.
Yeah, I use a notebook,
I know.
but
Mine's gone.
Filled with paper, believe it or not.
Oh my God! What else am I missing out on?
but you have the idea. I think this poem has multiple meanings too. I had thought about. I mean, I was during the times that I read it, I was thinking about him leaving this life and ascending into another life.
Oh my God, you're right.
There was the whole naturalistic, because you have the naturalistic images, but it all depends on whether or not you see the downpour as naturalistic or philosophical and symbolic.
Or if it's an actual, or a
Yeah.
real downpour, like, oh,
But-
wow, we need that island, help.
That is all a matter of perception.
Exactly.
And I think that's what the poem really gets at too.
It tickles at it.
Yeah.
But it's when you say, uncle, 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 it doesn't give up. I like that though.
And then you have the boat, which
I like those.
I would think that it's either one's path to necessary success, one's vessel to happier times, and the island can also refer to a moment in the past too. The fact that he's looking to reclaim either childhood innocence or just a happier time. And then the boat can also be heading to, the goal itself is the same thing. It's
I
similar
kind
to.
of saw it as like, and this is just because I didn't see so many like different. I mean, now that you're saying it, I think there's definitely different ways of interpreting it. The way I interpreted it, very simply, was that somebody is like suffering from a lot of heavy emotions that are dragging them down, and that boat is his or her own way of trying to keep themselves afloat, to try to make it through and try to fight through. And then there's the island, the rock, the reason to hold on and the reason to keep going,
Yeah.
and to keep fighting through it. So that's how I interpreted it, as opposed to like it actually being a vessel, as it more being your own conscious like fighting of your issues, your problems, things like that. So.
And what happens if that, going off what you said, what happens if that boat, God forbid, what if that boat sinks? What happens if there's,
Exactly, and that's like
And it
I
creates a
think
completely different story unto
Well,
itself.
obviously,
but
yeah, but in this case,
I think that your argument is helped by the idea of when we saw the islands again, because the islands are that sense of incentive and motivation, or just what one does to recall happiness.
Yeah, it's like a returning, right? You get that sense that it's some kind of return. That he's been there before. Like when I read it, I didn't know he was from Sweden. I thought he was from the island. I don't know anything about the author.
Scandinavian countries are surrounded by bodies of water.
I think
and
that's
sea.
why I thought of it as like, and I guess the best way I can think of is like people in a relationship, especially where mental illness is like a thing. How you have, like, oh, that person's my rock. I see them often, but when I'm by myself and I have to struggle with these, feelings and these thoughts. Then I see them again, and it reminds me, things are good and they're helping me and things like that. So I mean, that's why I thought of the rock as more of like that happy place.
And that's interesting
That
how
happy
the
reason.
island holds out its hand in pulling the.
Like here,
You get the sense that there's something going on, though, right? Like, it's talking about the hallway, the baby, the cable. It's like this stuff seems like, I don't know. Like, is it related to a boat and an island? In a village?
Those details, some of them, I mean, the one about the Indian orchestra and the the chests with newly ironed smiles. Those I'm still trying to figure out myself. I think they're there for a reason, of course, but
Just haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, yeah, there's something almost like an interplay between two scenes, right? Like there's there's something real going on, and then piled on top of it is this island metaphor, right? Where it's almost completely
Almost
covering
like
up the
he's
reality of whatever he's actually
describing
going through.
life and then comparing it to, you know, the being on the boat and seeing the island
Something
instead.
something
maybe.
specific. I feel like you know, like an ordeal. I feel like there's an ordeal that he might have been going through in his personal life, and that reminds him of this kind of an experience of an island and the storm and all that. But he's not going to give you enough to really know what it is.
If I may, real quick, heavy steps upstairs and chests with newly iron smiles. Heavy upstairs. What I'm thinking, given the circumstances, after a long day, you climb the stairs. You know, he's like
It
stopping,
does.
you know, and that chest, or whatever, it's plural chests, newly iron smiles. You open up that chest, smiles. Maybe it's shoes. Maybe it's liquor. Maybe, you know, I don't know.
exhaustion, easy exhaustion does come with depression too.
Yeah. Maybe
Which I
it's
think is
cookies
very
or
big,
whatnot, I don't know. A vacuum cleaner.
In many, aside from the goal itself, feeling of depression is I think, a very overbearing theme to this poem, especially because the island is taking him away from his sadness. The sadness is crucial.
Yeah.
Is this a translation?
Yes, translated by Robin Fulton.
I still can't understand it.
Robert Fulton is
Okay.
his longtime translator.
Because I don't know, like
I like it.
words like upstairs, right?
Mm.
For example, right? Like there's no boat connection with a word like upstairs, right? You you refer to that like in a building, not in a boat. You don't talk about upstairs. Talk about different decks. Talk about
Maybe.
topside. You know,
Well, maybe.
there's different language, at least in English. So that's why I was wondering if it was a translation, then maybe some of this stuff might have gotten lost.
And I think that the translator, if they know the writer well enough, they're going to take into consideration
But they might not know English well enough. You know.
the writer's wishes. Robin Fulton, I would have to look him up a little bit more, but usually they either are or they know a great deal of
Right.
English. That's their background. Is when they become translators, they become
Yeah.
students
Yeah,
of.
but so
But
there
there
are
is a
like
kind of
some
language-
words in like other languages that don't directly translate to English.
Yes,
that
there
it
is.
means something so.
And there's also a kind of language
there's
that
things
goes
I'll
with-
take into consideration too.
with
Yeah.
with boating. You know that you know it's kind of a different language unto itself.
It all depends on the boat too, because it could either be a rowboat or it could be a complete
Revved
up.
complete ship where where there's indoor facilities and whatnot.
Oh no, we lost an engine. That's okay. We have 17 more. I mean, there
But-
you go.
Do we have any final thoughts?
Not me.
Alrighty then. If you're interested in checking out this poem and more of Tomas Transtromer's poetry, here is my source, The Great Enigma, New Collected Poems, translated by Robert Fulton. And
Sorry.
this has a selection from every poetry collection of his. And this, according to this, it says that it has every poem that's ever been published of Transtromer's. So here is my copy. I have two other collections of his poetry. So one is Half Finished Heaven, and then the other one is a complete collection too. Thank you for tuning into this video. I hope you check out some more videos from our channel. Be sure to join us next time, and for now, keep reading.
Bye.